What if I told you that most of what you eat isn't actually food? That bag of chips, that bottle of healthy almond milk, even that golden maple syrup in your pantry, none of it was made to nourish your body. It was engineered in a lab to hijack your brain. Food companies don't profit from real meat, eggs, or vegetables. They profit when you can't stop eating. Scientists have discovered the so-called Bliss point, a secret formula of sugar, oils, salt, and artificial flavors that creates a pleasure so intense, you'll keep reaching for more, even when you're full. And here's the disturbing part. These fake foods are almost completely empty. No real protein, no real vitamins, just chemicals that trick your senses and leave your body starving for what it truly needs. Welcome to the Nutrition Institute, the place where we peel back the layers of deception and reveal the truth about what's really on your plate. Stay with me, because once you see how deep this goes, you'll never look at food the same way again. And if you want to keep uncovering these hidden truths with me, hit that subscribe button right now so we can keep building a healthier, smarter community together. I used to believe that eating was simple. You feel hungry, you grab some food, you eat until you're full, and your body gets what it needs. That's what food is supposed to be, right? But the more I've looked into what's really on the shelves of our supermarkets, the more I've realized a disturbing truth. Not everything we call food deserves that name. Think about the last time you opened a bag of potato chips. Did you stop after just a handful? Probably not. I know, I couldn't. One chip turns into 5 turn into 20, and before you know it, the bag is gone, and it's not because you're weak or because you have no willpower. It's because that bag was designed to make you lose control. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Food companies don't make money from selling steak, eggs, or fresh vegetables. Those foods are perishable, hard to scale, and have razor-thin profit margins. A farmer raising grass-fed beef might only make a couple % profit if they're lucky. There's no big payday in selling real food. So what did the industry do? They invented something else, something more addictive, more profitable, and far more dangerous. They engineered foods that don't just fill your stomach, but hijack your brain. The secret weapon, the bliss point. There's a term that flavor scientists use, the bliss point. It sounds innocent enough, almost playful, but it's one of the most powerful tools in the processed food industry. The bliss point is the perfect combination of sugar, fat, salt, and flavorings that lights up your brain's pleasure centers like fireworks. It's not about nourishing you, it's about keeping you hooked. This isn't an accident. It's not a coincidence that you can't stop after one cookie or a few fries. Scientists in labs have spent years studying how your brain reacts to taste. They know exactly how to trigger that just one more response. And here's the scary part. The effect is stronger than what you get from natural foods. Artificial flavors can be hundreds of times more intense than the flavors found in nature. Imagine eating a strawberry straight from the field. It's sweet. It's refreshing, but it's subtle. Now imagine a candy strawberry flavor that's so strong it almost burns your tongue. That's the difference. The intensity overwhelms your senses, leaving your brain desperate for more stimulation. And over time, this bombardment does something dangerous. It makes your brain less sensitive to pleasure. The dopamine hits that used to feel satisfying no longer do. You build up a kind of tolerance. Just like with drugs, the result, you eat more and more, chasing the same feeling, but never quite getting it. Why you're never full? If the manipulation stopped there, it would already be bad enough, but it goes deeper. These foods are almost completely empty of nutrition, the vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients that your body actually needs. They're stripped away during processing. At best, the companies sprinkle in some synthetic vitamins enough to slap A with vitamin C, label on the box, but not enough to truly support your health. What's worse? These foods are deliberately low in protein. That might not sound like a big deal, but protein is one of the most powerful signals of satiety. When you eat enough protein, your body naturally says, okay, I'm good. You can stop now. Without it, you can eat and never feel fully satisfied. That's why you can devour an entire pizza and still feel hungry an hour later. It's not that your stomach is empty. It's that your body is starving for the protein and nutrients it didn't get. So you keep eating and the cycle continues. I remember the first time I connected these dots. I had just finished what I thought was a healthy snack, a granola bar advertised as wholesome and natural. Within minutes, I was rummaging through the kitchen for something else. That bar was loaded with sugar and seed oils, but barely any real nutrition. My body wasn't fooled. It kept sending hunger signals, begging for the nutrients it hadn't received. A rigged system. The more I learned, the more I realized the system is rigged against us. It's not about personal weakness or lack of discipline. It's about a multi-billion-dollar industry that has figured out how to profit from our biology. They've turned food into a product that stimulates us, but doesn't sustain us. When you see it this way, it changes how you look at the supermarket aisle. That brightly colored cereal box isn't there to feed your kids. That low-fat yogurt isn't designed to keep you healthy. That plant-based milk isn't a miracle alternative. These products exist for one reason: profit. And the best way to maximize profit is to make sure you never feel done, never feel full, and always come back for more. The wake-up call. It took me years to accept this. Like many people, I wanted to believe that food companies cared about health, that if something was on the shelf, it had to be safe. But once you learn about bliss points, dopamine resistance, and the deliberate removal of protein, you can't unsee it. It's a wake-up call, and honestly, a pretty depressing one at first, because it means that most of what we casually eat isn't food in the true sense of the word. Real food is meant to fuel you, to sustain life. What we're sold is something different. Edible products designed to manipulate you into eating more than you need, while giving you less than you deserve. And yet, knowing this has been strangely empowering, because once you see the trick, you can't fall for it the same way again. The chips lose some of their magic, the candy bar feels less tempting, and the idea of eating real food, meat, eggs, vegetables, whole fruit suddenly feels like an act of rebellion. When I first started digging into why processed food felt so irresistible, I expected to find answers about convenience or taste. I thought, of course, people love fast food. It's quick, it's salty, it's cheap. But the deeper I went, the more I realized this wasn't about convenience at all. It was about addiction. Real, measurable, engineered addiction. Let me explain. The science of cravings. At the heart of this lies something that sounds almost innocent: flavor science. Behind every bag of chips, every fast food burger, every brightly colored drink, there are teams of researchers working to answer a single question. How can we make people crave this more? The answer is the Bliss Point, a carefully calculated mixture of sugar, salt, fat, and chemical flavorings that delivers the maximum pleasure response in your brain. It's like hacking the human operating system. Every bite sends a jolt of dopamine through your nervous system. You don't just enjoy the food, you're compelled to reach for another bite and another and another. But here's the catch. This dopamine spike is artificial. It's not the same as the balanced satisfaction you get from eating a steak or a fresh apple. Instead, it's a flood of stimulation that overwhelms your brain's normal reward circuits. Over time, your brain adapts. It becomes less sensitive to dopamine. So to feel the same level of satisfaction, you need more food, more intensity, more stimulation. That's why processed food feels bottomless. You can eat, and yet you're never done. It's not because you lack willpower. It's because the system was designed to override your natural stop signals. The empty core, if that were the whole story, it would already be bad enough. But what makes this worse is the complete lack of real nourishment in these foods. Take a box of breakfast cereal. On the surface, it looks wholesome. There are pictures of wheat stalks and fresh fruit on the packaging. Maybe it even says fortified with vitamins and minerals. But look closer. The cereal has been stripped of nearly all its natural nutrients during processing. What's added back in are synthetic vitamins, cheap, isolated chemicals that give the illusion of health. And the most critical piece is missing. Protein. Protein is your body's way of knowing it's truly satisfied. When you eat enough protein, your brain gets a signal that says, we're good, stop eating now. But processed food often contains little to no protein. That means your body keeps searching, keeps asking for more, hoping to find what it needs. The result is overeating, not because you're greedy, but because your biology is being tricked. I remember one evening when this became crystal clear to me. I had eaten an entire pizza, greasy, delicious, covered in toppings. For a moment, I felt stuffed, but within an hour, I was back in the kitchen, prowling for something else. My stomach was full, but my body wasn't satisfied. That night, I realized the cruel trick: fullness and nourishment are not the same thing. Dopamine versus nutrition. This battle between dopamine stimulation and actual nutrition explains so much about why our modern diets leave us sick, tired, and overweight. On one side, you have foods designed to give your brain a rush. On the other side, your body is quietly starving for real building blocks, amino acids, minerals, phytonutrients. The rush always wins in the short term. You feel good for a few minutes after that soda or candy bar, but hours later, your body pays the price: fatigue, irritability, cravings. And so the cycle continues. Stress leads to cravings. Cravings lead to junk food. Junk food leads to more stress on the body. This is what I call the anatomy of addiction. It's not about morality or weakness. It's about biology being hijacked by an industry that knows exactly how to exploit it. A tool for awareness. One of the most practical things I've discovered is a simple app that scans barcodes. Point your phone at a product, and it instantly tells you how much sugar, starch, and seed oil it contains. The first time I used it, I felt exposed. Products I thought were harmless. Healthy granola bars, flavored yogurt, even salad dressings were loaded with the very ingredients fueling my cravings. It was a slap in the face, but also empowering, because awareness is the first step in breaking addiction. Once you see the numbers, once you realize just how much sugar is hiding in sugar-free snacks, it becomes harder to lie to yourself. The deeper cost, the real danger of this addiction isn't just the extra weight or the empty calories. It's the way it rewires our relationship with food. Eating should be simple: hunger, food, satisfaction. But processed food breaks this cycle. It creates a new loop: craving, stimulation, emptiness, repeat. And the long-term cost is devastating. Our bodies become resistant to insulin, setting the stage for diabetes. Our brains become resistant to dopamine, making it harder to feel joy. Our immune systems weaken without proper nutrients. We live in a world of abundance, but our cells are starving. The saddest part, many people never realize what's happening. They blame themselves. They think they just lack discipline, or that they're lazy. But the truth is, they're caught in a carefully engineered trap. Finding a way out, breaking free isn't easy, but it starts with small acts of awareness: reading labels, scanning barcodes, asking yourself, does this food actually nourish me, or is it just stimulating me? For me, the shift came when I started focusing on protein and real whole foods, eggs in the morning instead of cereal, steak and vegetables instead of fast food. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. For the first time in years, I ate meals that left me truly satisfied, not just temporarily stimulated. And that's when the cravings started to fade slowly. The endless loop of addiction lost its grip. When I first started uncovering the reality of processed foods, I thought the problem was just about sugar or junk snack. But the deeper I looked, the clearer it became. Entire categories of foods we eat every day are fake. They're not what we think they are. And in many cases, they're not even close. The long list of imitations. Take barbecue potato chips, for example. On the surface, they seem harmless, just crunchy potatoes with a smoky flavor. But the truth is darker. When you deep fry starches at high temperatures, you create acrylamide, a chemical linked to health risks. Then manufacturers add monosodium glutamate, MSG, to crank up the savory taste. The end result, a product that tricks your taste buds but stresses your body. Then there's cheese, flavored popcorn. You might imagine it's just real cheese sprinkled over corn. But in most cases, there's little to no real cheese at all. Instead, it's powdered flavorings and fillers like maltodextrin. And here's a sneaky fact. If an ingredient is listed at less than half a gram, companies can legally round it down to 0. That means your sugar-free snack may still be packed with hidden sugars and starches. It's just disguised by labeling loopholes. Plant-based meats are another eye-opener, marketed as the future of sustainable eating. They often contain cheap, highly processed proteins like soy protein isolate. To make them taste appealing, companies add oils, starches, and flavor chemicals. It's not about health. It's about shelf life, profitability, and marketing. And while the idea of reducing meat consumption can sound noble, what we're often getting instead is just another form of ultra-processed food. Even more unsettling are lab-grown meats. While they're not widely available yet, the process involves using fetal cow cells to grow tissue in vats. It's marketed as clean meat, but it raises ethical, economic, and biological concerns. And once again, the industry pushes it not because it's inherently better, but because it's profitable to rebrand meat as technology. Fast food, of course, is the most obvious culprit. Burgers, fries, even the pickles are loaded with flavor chemicals and preservatives. No wonder the drive-through line is always packed. It's not just the convenience, it's the addiction, carefully engineered into every bite. And the list keeps going. Fake maple syrup, made not from trees, but from high fructose corn syrup. Olive oil diluted with cheap seed oils. Imitation crab, made from flavored starch and fish scraps. Cheese products with no actual cheese. Artificial sweeteners that disrupt your gut and may even lead to insulin resistance. Honey cut with glucose syrup. Almond milk that's mostly water with a splash of almond flavor. When you step back, it's staggering. These aren't isolated cases. They're the rule. So much of what we eat is manufactured imitations, designed to look, taste, and sell like real food, but without any of the benefits. The hidden consequences, the danger isn't just physical. It's psychological. When you grow up eating foods that taste like cheese but aren't cheese, or syrup that looks like maple but isn't maple, your sense of reality gets blurred. Your palate adapts to fake intensity, and suddenly real food tastes bland. A fresh apple feels boring compared to an apple-flavored candy. Real honey seems too subtle after years of fake honey. That shift is one of the most damaging consequences, because once your taste buds are rewired, you crave more of the fake and lose appreciation for the real. And in that craving, the cycle of addiction tightens its grip. Why profit drives deception? It's tempting to ask, why does this happen? Why would companies flood the market with fake food? The answer is simple: profit. Real food is hard to scale. It spoils. It requires farmers, land, care, and time. But fake food? It's cheap. It's consistent. It lasts on shelves for months, even years, and it can be branded, marketed, and sold at massive profit margins. That's why you don't see billion-dollar ad campaigns pushing broccoli or grass-fed eggs. There's no money in it, but plant-based burgers, sugar-free sodas, protein bars with candy logos. Those can be marketed endlessly because the margins are sky high. The wake-up call. I used to shrug this off. I thought, so what? A little junk food won't kill me? But then I realized it wasn't just a little. It was everywhere. It was in my snacks, my condiments, my cooking oils, even the healthy foods I bought at the store. One day, standing in the grocery aisle, scanning labels with that app I mentioned earlier, I had a moment of clarity. I wasn't buying food. I was buying products, engineered, manufactured products, dressed up to look like nourishment. And if I kept going down that path, my health would pay the price. That realization was sobering, but it was also freeing, because once you see the deception, you can choose differently. You can turn the label around and say, no. You can choose the olive oil that's certified pure. You can spend a little more on real maple syrup instead of the fake stuff. You can reach for eggs and steak instead of boxes and bags. The question we all have to answer, this isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. The truth is, processed foods are designed to tempt us, and most of us will eat them at some point. But the question we all have to answer is, if so much of what we eat isn't really food, what are we willing to do about it? For me, the answer has been to reclaim my taste buds, to learn the flavors of real food, to slow down and appreciate the subtle sweetness of real fruit, the richness of real cheese, the depth of real honey. It's not as flashy as the fake stuff, but it's deeply satisfying in a way no lab-made product can ever be. And maybe that's the ultimate rebellion in a world full of fakes, choosing real. After diving deep into the world of modern food, I've come to a realization that's both unsettling and empowering. Much of what we eat today is not truly food. It looks like food. It tastes like food. It fills our stomachs like food, but it doesn't nourish us the way real food is meant to. This isn't just about chips, fast food, or soda. It's about an entire system designed to prioritize profit over health. The bliss point, the addictive flavor chemicals, the empty calories, the fake imitations, all of it adds up to a powerful trap. And the most dangerous part of this trap is that it feels normal. We grow up with it. We accept it as just the way things are. But here's the lesson I've taken from all of this. Awareness changes everything. The moment you realize you're being manipulated, you gain back a piece of control. When I started looking at labels differently, when I learned to question why certain foods seemed irresistible, when I noticed how unsatisfying they left me, I began to make different choices. It wasn't about perfection. I didn't throw out every processed food overnight, but I started small, swapping out fake olive oil for real, choosing real honey instead of cheap syrup, cooking more meals at home with basic ingredients. And with every small step, I noticed a difference. My cravings weakened. My energy improved. My appreciation for real, simple foods returned. The deeper lesson, though, goes beyond food. It's about questioning the stories we're told. If the food industry can convince us that fake cheese is cheese, or that sugar-laden cereal is a healthy breakfast, what other areas of life are built on illusions? And how often do we accept things as normal without asking who benefits from us believing that? For me, reclaiming my health has become an act of defiance, a way of saying, I won't be fooled anymore. And the ripple effects of that mindset have changed how I approach not just my diet, but my choices in general. So here's my question for you. What's one food you used to believe was healthy or harmless, but later discovered was fake or misleading? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story, and I think others will too. And if you found this video eye-opening, consider subscribing to the Nutrition Institute. Your support gives us the motivation to keep uncovering the hidden truths about the food we eat and to keep building a community that values health, honesty, and real nourishment. Together, we can break free from the trap and choose food that truly sustains life